So at this time, I would like to introduce our speaker today, who we actually met last year in September, I believe, if I remember that properly. And I was just really amazed to hear how passionate that she was about her business and what she does. So at this time, I'd like to introduce you to Adenike Makinde, who's going to tell us how to promote your purpose in your business.
Hi, everybody. So I've met many of you before, but excited again to be here just to kind of share. Again, as Ryan said, this is my passion and my heart, and it is also what I do for business. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll just take a few minutes and walk you through this. Again, guys, I love to have participation, so I'll keep my eye on the chat. If there are any questions as I'm going through this presentation, please don't hesitate to drop those. But I titled this position Purpose to Position because that is the name of the system that I actually use for my clients, and how to find purpose in your business. And again, the work that I do, I will just start out by saying that I have a long history in working with people in the corporate world. So a lot of the clients that I do have are corporate professionals who are again, they may enjoy their work, they may enjoy their teams, may even love their companies, but the people that I run into typically at a certain point, they begin to question, is there more? Is this what I was created to do? Is this why I was put on this earth? I really want to make sure I'm fulfilling my purpose. And so they come to me because, again, a lot of times people will say, well, if you have a good job, if you got great benefits, you're making good money. What else do you need? And as individuals who were created in the image of God, I feel like there's way more that you need. And so, for those who begin that journey and want that search, that's where I step in. So just a little bit about who I am. Again, my typical client is typically, again, a 40 plus years young professional, I like to say. I have had some certainly that are younger, but again, they are really looking for someone to help them explore the possibility of finding purpose, to explore the possibility of finding that next level work, the more that goes beyond just being satisfied, being content, but really finding that purpose. And so I really help them build confidence, help them really understand what that purpose-driven work looks like, their gifts, and things of that nature, and then help them brand and put that all together in a communication piece that really helps them go out and find it in the real world. Because at the end of the day, I get a lot of people that say, well, purpose is nice, but we got to pay bills. I hear that. And I like to tell people that, listen, I don't believe that you were given all of these gifts, talents, skills, had all of these life experiences, all of these things happen to you, and there's not somebody in the world, some tribe in the world that you can help. There is. And having, joined this entrepreneurial space, I'm more convinced of it than ever. There are people doing things that I never would have dreamed you could have gotten paid to do, and they're doing them and being very, very successful at them, again, because they have a passion for it. And there are a group of people who really value that. And so that is, in a nutshell, kind of what I do. Okay, so I always like to start these presentations out, and let me just check the comments here. Okay, I always like to start these presentations out. Like I said, I know this is very basic, but just if somebody could just holler out to me, what's the purpose, of that first picture? I'm not gonna even name it. You tell me what it is and tell me what the purpose is. If somebody could just holler that out for me.
It's a couch. It's a place to sit.
Perfect. Okay.
And
so,
relax.
Oh, and relax. So it's a couch. You identify what it was, and you're saying its purpose might be to help you relax, a place to sit. Okay. How about that next item? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
A pocket calculator.
A pocket calculator. And any specific purpose for that, Ryan?
Yes, to add without having to write it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then that final item. Any takers?
Car.
A car. And what might that be used for?
Transportation, getting places where you need to go.
Absolutely. And so, like I said, I know it's funny. I know it's really basic because, we all understand what these things are. But I always like to say, listen, if things that we created, have a purpose, why wouldn't the very top of the food chain, the highest creation available, a person, a human being, why would you be here without a purpose? It's just, it's just not feasible. If everything has a purpose, then certainly human beings have a purpose. And so it really is one of those things where you want to, there comes a point when you want to seek out what that is. And so that is the example of this. And again, like I said, I even like to go a bit further. These things have utility, but they also have their ultimate purpose is kind of how they help you, meet your purpose again. So maybe that couch was a couch where you grew up, and you had people come in all the time who sat on that couch and you comforted them. And when they think about your couch, your couch was their place of comfort, or to your point, the pocket calculator, you're trying to get your financial house in order. And you're just not a financial person. You need something that's going to help you really be able to get your budgeting in order. And so that is a sense of financial security to you, or the car, we think about it, really all we need is something with protection, the Ford T model. That would have really been enough to give us transportation. Really, the horse and carriage would have been enough to give us transportation. But, the reason why we developed it and keep iterating on it is because, again, the car can take on some significance and really have a purpose, maybe our first car and what it really means to us, or that type of thing, or getting us back and forth to see our loved ones. So again, everything has purpose. And so certainly us as human beings, we definitely do. So I'll skip this, but again, this is just kind of, whenever I go through my presentation, I always tell people the reason why it's super important to have purpose is because when the rug gets snatched out from under you, and let's just be real, 2020 was a year where for a lot of people, the rug literally got snatched out from under them. If you don't have a purpose, then you can lose identity. You can really have that sense of being lost. You can have a sense of hopelessness. Things change. We saw massive changes in just hospitality and travel. I mean, industries that had been booming for so long. And so if you don't have a purpose, when these things happen, it's just like, where do I go from here? But if you have that purpose, no matter what's happening from an external perspective, you still have a sense of, okay, well, I still know what my purpose is. And so if that job is gone, or if that industry has changed, or if I no longer have that title, I still know I have a sense of where I'm going to go from here. So it's really important to have that purpose. And so I want to just talk a little bit today about purpose when it comes to our businesses, because I think it's super important. I had a mentor really break it down for me. He was, he shared that, yeah, if you're going to get into business, it's either going to be strategic and purposeful, or it's going to be opportunistic. And, he said, which one do you want to be? And right away, I knew I wanted mine to be strategic and purposeful. You can get into business, and sure, there's lots of money to be made in a ton of different industries, some legal, some illegal. Let's just be real about that. Money is out there to be made if that's all you want to be, if that's all you're really focused on. But if you really do want to be purposeful and really, have your business make a difference, then, that is something you really have to sit down and reflect on. I will just say, and I'll ask, for comments from you all as well. I would say one of the companies that I absolutely love, Mike Lindell, My Pillow. Listen, I read his story. His story is amazing, from crack addict to CEO. And I mean, his platform, certainly he makes pillows, but his platform is designed to really help addicts. Really, he gives them second chances, puts them through recovery centers. His purpose is to actually be to make money in order to facilitate, these addicts, which he was one of at some point, facilitate them into a better quality of life, to really obtain their value as human beings. And so I won't buy pillows from anybody else. I mean, like I said, he's purpose driven, and I love that. And so I don't know if anybody else has a company that it wouldn't matter how much it cost, or who else had a better deal. This is just the company I'm going to be a customer for life because of their purpose. Anybody else just have a company like that they relate to? I'd love to hear some examples. Natanja, it looks like you're trying to get off mute.
Yeah, sorry. I am. It's Natanya, but it's all right. For me, it's Nordstrom. Yeah, it's Nordstrom. And I know I worked there for many years, but they're known for their customer service, and they stand behind that with a fantastic return policy. So I know that I'm getting something that's quality, and that if I have any problems, I have the right resources to make it right.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And so, like I said, you build loyalty in customers by, your culture, by your purpose, and by what you stand on. And we're going to talk a little bit about that too, as we think about what our companies look like. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I say purpose-driven business. Now, again, I've already shared with you that most of the clients that I work with tend to be in the corporate arena, but I literally walked through this process myself. It was about, I would say now it's roughly about 12 years ago that I was in what you would call, an okay place. And so what that meant is I had a good job. I had great benefits. I lived in a great neighborhood. Me and my kids went on, we went on vacations a couple times a year. All my bills were paid, but I was miserable. I mean, I was saying to myself, this can't be it. This can't be it. And I literally went on a journey, a very deep spiritual, emotional, mental, everything, a journey where I really sought out and sat down and thought through, well, what is my purpose? Why am I here? This can't just be it. And out of that process, I actually went through it was quite a bit, but I drilled it down to about 8 key things that I think that I really came to the conclusion of. And those 8 key things are literally what I decided to, when I made the decision about 3 years ago to go full time in my business. Those 8 key things were the things that I actually put together to actually offer my clients in a sense to help them find that purpose driven work. So I'm just going to go over a few of those things. Again, not going to hit them all, but one of the things that you really want to think through when you're thinking about purpose is gifts and talents. Again, gifts and talents, these are things that you were naturally born with, things that you came into this world with. And so, you're going to do these things better than anyone. They're going to come to you effortlessly. They're not going to require a bunch of grind. And so, those are a couple questions that I'll just pose to you as you consider what a purpose driven business might look like for you. Have you asked yourself, what are some things that comes so naturally? It's effortless. Okay. I mean, it's so effortless that you really don't consider it a gift because you don't even recognize it. Sometimes people they keep telling you, hey, you really do this well, or people keep coming to you for this. That's kind of how you begin to identify, hey, that's something that, people keep coming to me about. I would never have considered that a gift. I know for me, it was what people call, they were like, oh, wow, you're so positive. And when someone said that to me, I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, what? Positive? I was like, isn't everybody? I mean, it didn't seem like a gift to me, but I mean, I heard people say it over and over again to the extent that I was like, well, I guess everybody's not just naturally positive. And so you really want to think of those things that you're hearing over and over again and see how you might be able to incorporate those in developing that purpose-driven business. Next thing, life experiences and coincidences. Again, this is another big one. A lot of people, everybody considers their professional experience, but not everybody really takes into consideration their life experiences. I mean, the things that they went through in life, good or bad, and how those things might actually be a part of helping you develop your purpose-driven business. Again, I actually have an exercise where I sit down and write every impactful thing that happened to me for as far back as I can remember, even back into childhood. And then in another column, I just sit down and ask myself, what is the wisdom that I gained from that experiences? And so I can clearly see some things that happened to me, even in childhood, that helped me develop leadership skills, that helped me develop, perseverance, if we're talking about certain things, that helped me develop really a love for people and a desire to really treat people as unique individuals as opposed to commodities and things like that. There were specific things in my life that happened where I said, if I ever get the opportunity, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, and so I gained some wisdom and some lessons from those things. And so again, from life experiences and coincidences, when you're thinking about your business, really consider how that would help you relate to your customers. Okay. And then work experience and credentials. Again, these are certainly the things that we really put the most value on. People, the things that people paid us for, or the things that we went to school and we paid for, we really put the most value on these and say, well, yeah, I can definitely use these when I'm thinking about creating that purpose-driven business. But the thing that I like to say is, obviously we all went through probably that exploratory phase where we're trying different things, doing different types of work. But, if you would look back on the work that you did, where did you feel most energized? This is what I tell people you want to pay attention to, because yes, there's work that you can do. There's work that you don't mind doing. We've all done that. There's work that you certainly don't hate it. You might even enjoy certain parts of it, but where is that energy? Where do you get your energy from? There's a term called flow out there where it's like where you lose a sense of time. It's like you're doing what you're doing. You enjoy it so much and you're so involved in it that you literally lose a sense of time, and it's like hours can go past, and you look up and it's like just a few minutes have passed. Have you ever had that experience, in your professional work? And again, this is again where I started to look at these things and really understand, okay, this is the type of thing I want to do all the time. I don't want to just settle for I can do that or that's okay. We all have times in life where you have to do that, but at some point you really want to identify that energizing and exciting work, that flow, and really make sure that you are moving in more of that flow work, so to speak. Values, this is a huge one. Again, what are your core values? What are your non-negotiables? Again, I was in the corporate world for many years, as many of you I'm sure were as well. And I just came to realize that there were certain things that I was just not going to do anymore. There were certain, games I was just not going to play anymore. There was just certain things that I came to understand that I wouldn't care how much money I was being paid. I was not going to do that anymore. And so I think I see, and Natanja, you just got her thumbs up. Yeah, you have got to get there. There has got to come to that place where you're saying life is too short. My time is too valuable. And I really, it's super important that from a core values perspective, there's some things you have just got to be willing to say, walk away from, or this is where I draw the line in the sand. So, as you're thinking about your business, do you have those core values in place? Have you really sat down, and really thought through, these are the types of people that I'm willing to work with. And what I mean by that is, I've dealt with people who integrity was not a big thing for them. Timeliness was not a big thing for them. And I mean, it's just, you have to decide, am I really going to spend a lot of time working with people who don't have similar values to mine? Maybe we're going in opposite directions, what vendors you're going to work with, again, what services you're going to offer. That's when you have core values, it really helps to be a filter, and it helps you vet these types of things. And so that is something I'm very, very passionate about, is making sure that you stick to your values and that you have those values. And then passions and dreams. Again, a lot of people, sometimes we get stuck in the day-to-day, but what I have found is that if you could look out and say, I love Stephen Covey, the 7 Principles of Highly Effective People, that exercise he does where he says, listen, you really don't know what you value until you think about yourself on your deathbed, not to be morbid or anything, but I'm sure many of us have, read Stephen Covey's materials. When you lay on that deathbed and, people come to you, when you're taking your last breath, how do you want to be remembered? That's what you're really going to value. That's what you really value now. So if you can kind of, put that in, really kind of think through how do I want to be remembered on my deathbed? That will really help you understand what you value now. And then again, I like to, before there was the I can or that's not practical. I'm sure many of us have heard this growing up. We had certain passions, and people who meant well might have said, oh, you can't make any money doing that. That's not practical. All of these different things. I think it's important to go back and look at those things, because you never know, how those things, there might be some way that you can incorporate those things into something that really allows you to, feel like you're in purpose. So don't discount the things that people say are impractical or that you can't do. Really look at those things, and then go all the way to the deathbed. Look at those things the way you want to be remembered. And that'll be another way to really help you kind of put together that purpose-driven business. All right. And so I think that was my last slide. So guys, again, that was just a little snapshot of just some of the things that I focus on, again, when I'm working with my clients. And I've even had clients decide, hey, corporate is not for me. I really need to move into a business because, based on what I'm seeing here, I haven't yet found a corporation that actually would allow me to be all that I was created to be. And so many people have gone on to create businesses, even if it's just a side business. My point is that life is too short, and purpose is really, really critical. And as you kind of look out in the world and see all the problems that are out in the world, I do believe that individuals, single people can make a difference. And so hopefully you found, something that was a refresher or a reminder to many of you about why it's so important to find that purpose. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Well, Adenike, I have a comment I'd like to make. I really appreciate the reminding you to consider your own values when looking at any situation, because it's something that it's easy to forget
Yeah.
because it's a job, and you bring up a really good point with that. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Oh, and Mike, yes, I did. I dropped my contact info in the chat. If you don't see it, I am happy to drop it again. I'll just drop it down here at the bottom again so that you can kind of grab that. Perfect.
This,
Awesome. Well, that's
this,
all I have. Ryan, I know I, wrapped up a few minutes early there, but I'll give a few minutes back.
It looks like Natanya was getting ready to answer
Oh, sure.
if you have time, I'm super curious what 6, 7, and 8 are. If you could just, if you wanted to just even say what the titles were.
Yeah, so and I'll pull it up just to make sure I grab everyone. But one that I always do, Natanja, is limiting beliefs, because I do feel like life tends to really slap onto us a lot of beliefs about what we can and we cannot do. And so when you're considering purpose, I say that it's super important to really address what are some limiting beliefs. And so again, for the crowd that I work with, one that typically comes up is, where there's a ton of stats out there that says after 40, your chances of getting, a job that you're going to love, that second chance, they just go all the way down. I have people who have literally come in the door and that's the first thing that they're saying. Oh, I know the stats are that after 40, you can't do that. I mean, that is a limiting belief all the way up, down, and sideways. I can't even tell you. I have clients that I've worked with 60 plus that are still living their best lives. They don't even think about stuff like that. And so limiting beliefs is definitely one that you want to address because it will hinder you if you're consistently thinking, because I can't do that, then it's going to hinder you from moving forward into that purposeful work because you feel like, well, I don't have a shot. So that's one. The people that you serve, again, a lot of people don't really think about that in detail. They think about the type of work they like, but they don't necessarily think about, is there a specific group of people that I really am just drawn to? And by specific group of people, I'm not always talking about demographics in terms of a certain age or a certain ethnicity. I mean, a certain mindset even, certain people like, yes, you could be young, you could be old, but, a certain people, maybe people who are super creative, people who, it could be just a lot of different things. I like people to think when you think, tribe of people think past the traditional demographics and let's get into the mindset. Maybe you're drawn to people, who are who are adventure addicts, they just love going on, so but you want to help them understand, okay, I understand you're an adventure addict, but let me help you understand how to maybe get your life in order so that you don't leave your family hanging. I don't know. There could be a million different scenarios, but it's about really understanding who you serve, who you're drawn to, because that's going to be a key as to what your purpose may be. And then let me see there. What did I do? I defined that. I think that was 7. There's there's one more. I have to. Oh, I think the other one that I didn't really hit on in this presentation was, I went through life experiences, but there's also another section called informal experiences. I found that people they discount things like their hobbies. They discount any type of volunteer work. They discount the fact that they've been working with their PTA or their church or traveling and doing. They discount all of that stuff as if it doesn't matter, and it truly, truly does matter. And so definitely, looking to those informal, what we would call informal experiences, or more that community-minded experience to see, hey, is there something in here that literally I could do this all day, I could do this forever, are going to be some important things to really review whenever you're thinking about purpose, and not just the things that you think will sell. Okay, so yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Does anyone have any other questions for Adenike? Awesome. Well, let's give Adenike a hand for her presentation today.
Oh, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.